4 different types of Onnexs. Let's see if I can make this a little simpler for you. Hello and welcome back to the YouTube channel. MFJJ here at PodiumArcher.com talking about Onnex releases. There are so many different choices, options, colors, etc. I'm going to try to break it down a little bit for you, make it a little simpler. The Onnex is available in 5 sizes: small, medium, large, extra large, and 2X. We carry the medium, the large, and the extra large because I haven't hardly ever seen somebody who needed something outside of those. So that's what we carry. So trying to clarify that part for you. Next, they have 3 different finishes. They have a gray and a green, and the only difference between gray and green is literally the color. There's nothing else. And then they make what they call a heavy metal. That is out of brass. So your heavy metal is physically heavier, like a lot. Holding it, it's way more than double the weight. So it's a lot heavier physically. From a target standpoint, that's probably a really good thing. From a hunting standpoint, maybe not so much, because you're carrying the weight around. But a lot of the high-end target releases are made out of brass or like heavy steel or that sort of thing. These are made out of brass. So they will tarnish over time almost immediately. It'll start to get this darker, dingier color if you don't clean it. But that doesn't affect how it functions. So that's your brass. Now, they make 4 now, because they just came out with this by the time this video launches, different styles of firing mechanisms. They make a hinge, which is the H. They make a resistance, which is the R. They make a thumb, which is the T. And they make a C, which is the thumb click. All right, so basic differences. So I can open this one up. This is your resistance release. A resistance release, and we'll see if I can set this up and not punch myself in the face because it is the harder one to do, is a pressure tension release. So it just has a spring mechanism inside of it. You pull the bow back with your thumb on it, you let go of the thumb, and you just pull harder, harder, harder. It has nothing to do with rotation, nothing to do with movement. Joel Turner would probably tell you this is for children. John Dudley actually believes in things like this a lot, so it depends on who you listen to. But resistance, and we'll set that up in a second. Hinge. This is also a back tension style release, as that's a back tension style release. This operates on rotation. And this also has a safety in it, which I was unaware of until like 2 weeks ago. I didn't realize that you can set this up to allow the head to move freely and not fire until you let go of the button. So this will allow you to draw your bow back, anchor in, let go of it, pull to the click, and then continue on. Okay, that's a hinge, and it's based on rotation. This is the thumb, and this is just what it sounds like. Your thumb fires the trigger by squeezing it. I like to set up a thumb where my forefinger and my thumb touch, to where you pull through it and you still use back tension, but the thumb is what fires it, and it's just by squeezing harder, 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 boom. And then there's tension and travel adjustments on these to change how that feels. And then the Joel Turner thumb click. Just like a thumb, but in its rotational movement, the trigger actually moves a bunch before it goes off. And you pull on it till it gets to a click, and then you keep going beyond, and it goes off. Just like a hinge, but it doesn't require rotation. So this is a superior target mechanism. We'll see how it goes over with the community, but it's brand new. But this is a very exciting release. So, first and foremost, let's see if I can punch myself with this. So, pressure-wise, since it has a safety, I'll just pull it in, draw it back, let go of the thumb and see if it goes off. And then if it doesn't, I'll pull on it to fire it. So it has, all the Onnexs have this open hook spring, which is really freaking cool. It's a great feature. You've seen those probably on the Ultra Views. I want to say, I don't know who made it first. Can't tell you. I think Stan did, but I could be wrong. But this makes it to where you can just stick it on your loop and you don't have to physically shut it, which is really cool. Great feature. I've only seen them on those 2 releases. I could be wrong. Now, I haven't pulled this back yet, so if I punch myself in the face right now, everybody can have a good laugh. Okay. So this style of a resistance, you'll anchor in, get in your position, let go of the trigger. Okay, now that's set too light, which means it just goes off. The amount of pressure holding it back when you release the button makes it go off. So we're going to increase that pressure until I can hold it at draw a little bit, and then pull through it to where it's a little heavier. But as long as you keep your thumb on this when you pull it back, you can't punch yourself. But this is set so light that if I wasn't holding that, it'd go off right as soon as I let it go. So let me grab my Allen wrench here and play with it a little bit. I'll figure out what these are. I'm going to assume it's that critter right there. Yeah, that must be a lock for it. I think. I have not read the directions. Is that an Allen wrench? Maybe not. I have not read the directions, so I may do this foolishly, and I apologize for as such, but I hate directions. All right. Let's back this out a turn and see what happens. So I don't know if I go in or out, but we're going to find out. But like I said before, as long as you keep your thumb on the button, it won't go off, no matter how much weight you're pulling. It only goes off if it's set too light. You have to reclose that mechanism, so that's not the coolest feature. But just push it closed with your finger. It's not spring operated. All right, so here we go again. Anchor in. Okay, so probably need to go in, not out would be my guess. So I went ahead and screwed it in a full rotation. Pull it out and try it again. Okay. Okay, so now I'm heavy enough that it won't go off. And I'll pull. Oop, that was pretty light, but that's how it works. The spring tension in it is set just above the weight here. From there, if you wanted to make it a little heavier, lighter, I don't think you could set it lighter because I just started pulling and it went off. But if you tighten that in a little bit more, you'd make it heavier. So that's how the resistance one works. Let's try the hinge now. It's your hinge mechanism. So that hooks on right there. And if I, same with this, if I hold that button on, I can't fire it no matter what I do. You can rotate it to the click, so I'd still try to keep your hand forward if you can use this as a safety. So you still have that full click rotation option. Drop back there. All right, so let go and then pull till you hear it click and then keep pulling. That's your mechanism. These are by far the most commonly used thing in the target community. And there are a decent amount of people that hunt with these. The click is very quiet, so if on all the hinge style releases, if you're going to hunt with one, I'd really strongly consider this, other than they still don't have a good wrist strap attachment for this for a hunter. So do this again. Pull it back, anchor in, let go of your safety. All right, now start to rotate until you get to your click, and then just keep going. Boom, just like that. Super clean, great mechanism. Maybe not the best thing for hunting, but some people do it, but it's a really easy operating one, and this is a safety. It's one of the few hinges that has a safety. You can't make this release go off while you've got your thumb engaged on this. That's great for learning with a back tension. If you're going to use a hinge and it's your first one, this might be a really great option. They're not cheap, none of them are. And at this moment, I do not know. I know all of these are the same price, other than I don't know if the new click version of it is more expensive, the thumb click. So I can't tell you that, but the rest of them are $279 and the heavies are $299. Regardless of the mechanism, whether it's a thumb, whether it's a click, whether it's a hinge, whether it's resistance, they should all be the same price, but I gotta check that on the click, the Joel Turner release. Which, if you haven't seen that video, by the time this video comes out, that video is already out on our channel. So go check that one out. He explains how it works way better than I can because he's a little smarter than me when it comes to this stuff. All right, so now this is just your traditional thumb. You can adjust tension and you can adjust travel in this, but it's a closing mechanism here just like the other. And all you do is squeeze the button. So anchor in. I like to put my thumb on my forefinger and then pull through it just like a tension, squeezing the button on accident. So you're not really controlling that mechanism. Now when you use a thumb click, you should be doing it differently, at least according to old Joel there. But you can adjust that differently here all you want. You can rotate the mechanism of where it sits on all of them. So this would be more your traditional way to shoot it, where your thumb isn't in the way of your forefinger. And you can still pull through, but you have a little bit more mental or physical control over that button to go off. And I personally like setting it on here, so I'm not really trying to pull physically with my thumb. If you want to mentally think about the movement before it goes off, like, once again, I'm going to say Joel again, would tell you to, then you probably ought to hook around like I just did. I'll fire it one more time for you how I like to shoot a thumb. You can see my thumb on my forefinger there, and then the button gets into the crooks of my thumb, and I just pull. Just like that. All right, thumb click time. You pull those arrows out. On the thumb click, you can adjust how much travel it takes to get to the click, and then how hard it is or how long it is after the click to go off, which is pretty cool. Joel let me play with Bodie's, which Bodie, who won Reading and came in second at Vegas, was using this release unbeknownst to the public because it wasn't out yet. And his is actually set just barely past the click. Like, I engage it to the click, and then it's just the ever so slightest thought past it, and boom, she goes. So now this, you just keep your thumb off. Yeah, just keep your thumb off like a thumb trigger. Pull it back. Bring your thumb around it. Pull on it, and you'll see it moving. Click, and then keep going. Boom. Just like that. Relatively simple. And like I said, you can adjust the travel and the tension in this. There's a travel and tension. One there, and that changes how far it takes to get to the click, and then how much pressure after the click it is. You can adjust the position of this thumb all around, and that is also a really cool feature I should have talked about earlier. On all the Onnexs releases, that right there screws into there. I'll go ahead and do it once with this. The bow won't go off. So you can practice this at home. Let me see here, right through there. So you can practice shooting your bow with it not actually going off. You'll hear the clicks in it. So this is with the safety on it. These all do this. So you can practice this at home without actually firing your bow. So watch. Here we go. Click. Boom. Bow went off, but it didn't go off. So you can use your bow as a testing mechanism and run through the whole process again. And that's just that little piece right there. All the Onnexs have it. So all these releases can be used for practice with your bow, like if you're in a hotel room or watching TV at home or something like that. You can shoot in your living room, the arrow just doesn't go off. But you get the squeeze through the shot and the pull through the shot just like you would if you were firing your bow. And that is a really cool feature that I haven't seen on other releases. Somebody will comment down below and tell me what release it's been on already that I'm not aware of, but it's a really neat little feature that I think gets overlooked a lot with these releases. The entire line has it. Anchor in. Boom. That little click, what that's doing mentally is pulling your brain back into the thumb. It doesn't really affect you in any way. You just keep going. But in Joel Turner's method, you want to be thinking about this at the time it breaks, the movement back there, not thinking about the target up there. And this release will kind of force you mentally to do that. You'll be focused on the target, anchor in, go, okay, here I go, click, and that sends your thought back here where it should be. Really cool release. So that's the 4 different styles of Onnexs. Comment down below on something very obvious that I missed, or how foolish I was because I didn't point out this or that release is the worst thing since sliced bread, or I've got one and it's great. All of the comments are good. Just put them down there. Let me know what you think. Head on over to podiumarcher.com where all those should be in stock, including the new click. Now, we have like, oh gosh, I want to say it's about 200 of them coming. So I assume that's going to be enough, but you never know. This thing might get really popular or it might not. So we might have that available. But we do carry all the releases in the 3 sizes and the 4 different types in stock. And we try really hard to keep them in stock all the time. If something's showing out of stock in one of those and you're looking for it, message me and I'll just triple check and make sure we don't have any extra inventory in the shop that I can put on the website. But more than anything, Thanks for checking us out. I appreciate it. And head over to Instagram and say hi to me over there. I actually answer that personally. So if you have a question for me, send it through Instagram Messenger, and that's where you will actually be able to talk to me. Thanks a lot.